So welcome to another exploration in the consciousness with the Earth Nouveau network. And today we've got SOS week. So we have an opportunity to just speak about whatever comes up, any pressing matters. If there's anyone coming on throughout the 2 hours, then we can obviously do a facilitation or something. And we were just actually, before we put the recording on, we were just talking about Sandrine, you just mentioned the Pope. Would you like to just
I was just skip reading through the newsletters and the news of today, and there was one snippet on the Pope was stating that the world is doomed, and I was like, I mean, if that person is already saying that we're doomed, then where will it go? And then I actually clicked on the link to check, because I thought that they ripped it out of context, and it was also more in a sense of the fact that he was giving statements towards the next COP, the Conference of Parties on Climate, in which will be held in Dubai for all,
yeah, perfect.
Not saying anything. So yeah, no, I was like, okay, if that person is already, if somebody who is already completely in anxiety and whatever, and is reading that the Pope is now saying that the world is doomed, I mean, where are we? Middle Ages again? Black Plague? No, I don't know. It's kind of.
But I like what you said, the word context. I think, so much is taken out of context. Mm-hmm. When that happens, you lose the bigger picture completely. And out of context is actually, everything that we believe that doesn't take the bigger picture into consideration is obviously a limitation, but also a very good point to keep everyone in fear,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. And I think, we like last week, we chatted a little bit about willpower and wisdom. And I think this is really now the time to step into our wisdom and really understand what a wisdom keeper really means. Mm-hmm. It's also, I've had a client the other day, a young lady, and I was just like, I said a couple of times on the shows here that, I'm sort of done with doing the healings and stuff like that. And I am in one context. And then when I met this young lady and I thought, she's 12 years old, and I'm like, who am I to say I'm done with healing when there are actually people out there who need what we have learned? I mean, how can I say that all these modalities that I've learned over the years, and and it's almost like a new realization of stepping into service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But looking at it from a different, not looking at it, I feel what you're saying, and I do believe that it's always a little bit the same that I was looking for when I was a bit fed up with what I was doing in my work, until I noticed that what I'm actually doing is I'm being of service, but in a different way, in a very different way, not directly, but indirectly, but still that I can be of service, to certain beneficiaries and to certain other aspects. But that realization made me realize that indeed, this is what I was looking for, to not being needed, not that, but being of service, to actually put things into the good way, into the good way. I mean, sorry to use that word, but in a path that might be beneficial for whoever, for the beneficiary. And in your case, it would be then this young lady or whoever is coming your way next, you see.
Yeah. And it was such a different way of looking at it, because it wasn't about, you know, it's totally beyond empathy. It's totally beyond martyr. It's totally beyond even fun. It's actually, you know, because, you know, everything, whatever I've done, whatever I've learned because it was fun for me. And that kept me going. And that's when that stopped. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, it might not be fun as such, but that's actually being of service. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. This is a different way of looking at it. Because what it does to me now is like when you look at the marketing and the networking and how to put yourself forward as a therapist or whatever you want to call yourself, as a coach, none of that is relevant in my world anymore. Because all of a sudden it's like it was that one person that I could help. And that's why I did it. Yeah, still there was an exchange and everything, but it was no longer about anything else. And the interesting thing, as it so happens, of course, when you do that kind of thing, you do have fun because you do enjoy. Who does not enjoy being of service? But there's a difference between being of service and being of service. It's I don't know.
It's a slight difference, but it's once you have gotten hold of that difference, it's also something that keeps reminding me before you hit recording, when I said that at the beginning of the week, I felt a little bit bored, and I was like, and suddenly everything changed again, you know, because something other happened. But I would like, at those moments, it's also good to look into the mirror and like, why am I still doing that? You know, to remind myself, why am I doing it? You know, and yes, you know, to reconfirm this sense of this being of service as well, in a way.
And it's funny how it came about as well, because, you know, I treated somebody for free many years ago, and this young lady was recommended by that lady.
Oh, you see,
you know, and I love when synchronistic stuff happens, because he was almost like, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. What is this? I'm like, what are you doing? This was a reminder. Oh, and here's the question. I read this super question. Where did I read it? I think on Matthias. It was on his Instagram post, you know. He said, pay attention of what you have let go of, because this will be significant of what you're going to start anew. Wasn't exactly those words. It's actually not a question either, but it's just a statement. Pay attention of what you have let go of, because it will come back to you in a new way, for a new beginning. And I had read that, and that sentence stuck with me for some time. And now when I look back, that's exactly what's happening. It's coming back. I'm doing similar things that I've done before, you know, but I'm perceiving it completely different.
And you're approaching it also completely different. And I think that is where the wisdom also comes in of what we have learned. Because if you would approach again in the same way that you did years before, you are going to fall into the old pattern of then, you know, running in the red mill again without noticing it probably. But now you notice it and you can approach it in a different way. And then have fun with it and be of service in a much better way.
Yeah, and that was a little bit what we discussed last week, the difference between willpower and wisdom. You know, it's like, really, are we having to power ourselves, to fuel ourselves with this power of will in order to achieve? Yes, it creates experiences, no doubt, and those experiences in turn then create the wisdom as well. But there is a different creating or manifesting from a wisdom perspective is really different. It's really coming through much more when we talk about ease. And again, easy is not ease, but there is a synchronistic sort of flow to it. And that's really quite fun, you know, because it's almost like, oh, this is meant to be. I have to do this. right?
Yeah, well,
That kind of
that is
thing.
exactly what happened to me when out of the blue, it came up for me that I have to do this breathwork instruction course, you know, and I'm like,
yes.
and last year I was like, no way, I'm going to do that. Why? You know, and I'm like, I have to do that. I'm like, okay, good. Signed up. And now I see what will happen. Okay, you know, the little performer in me already goes like, YouTube channel, yeah. And I'm like, whoa. Breathe. Okay, that's the
The
wisdom
little
talking.
performer.
The little, yeah. I have
Let
a few
him
of
out
those,
the
you know.
bag. He wants to come out the bag. Yeah, no, amazing. And I think that's also started, you know, what I posted was, you know, we got to start looking at, because this is not something that's just come from this one lifetime that I've been living. You know, this is an accumulation of what I've done over many lifetimes. And literally where I can see myself go in the future too, to be that peacekeeper, not to go back into all this karmic, you know, accumulation business and all of that. And it's so important, you know, especially in times where everything is so, we don't know where we're going, with so much, what do you call that word? We don't, what's that word? But it's not transparent. Nothing is transparent at the moment. So much fear, chaos, blah, blah, all of this. So important to recognize that it could be that one client that you have, or that one person, that one friend, that one family member that you speak to, just not even from a professional perspective, you know, you're not getting paid for that can plant that seed for future lifetimes, you know, to get back together again and to create something together, you know, that pod of souls that we're all coming together. And the more we can sit back and just relax and rest and allow things to come to us, the more we actually understand how far our souls have traveled. And how we've met all before, Lana, Herminia, Sandrine, we've all met before so many times. And we will probably, you know, carry on working together. Has anyone, have you guys had experiences along those lines a little bit, the contemplative musing?
Well, no, in my case, I like a couple of weeks ago, I wake up and it was like somebody telling me like to participate in a healing. You know, I used to be like a long time ago, maybe 10 years, the last time having a ceremony, shaman ceremony or something like that. And I heard that somebody recommended. And I saw one of the website that Amy shared with me in Pennsylvania for Reiki classes. And I feeling like I need to do that to helping myself, like setting myself, like being this, like detached from everything, just to give me like a retreat, a half-day retreat for myself, concentrating in healing and receive the energy and healing myself, my body, or whatever I want to heal energetically. And can the opportunity that they had this coming, not this Saturday, the next one, I'm going to go over there because I'm feeling that I had like a tomb myself. Because every time I speak with people, there's so many needs, like I mentioned before, so many people that are lost. Because there's so much information and most of them is mixed information. And people, they got like completely blank, that they have so much information, they don't know what to do, and they are afraid of everything, you know, because some of bombarding people projecting something bad going to happen everywhere. And then I feel like, oh my goodness, I feel like I need to set myself in a position that I can be able to, it's not like a multitasking, it's like a hard reserve or something different that I can offer to people surrounding me, that is helping me at the same time to detach me myself and helping without attachment, something like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm feeling. Like helping myself to be more centered myself, to be able to helping others however, without being involved, like entangling with them, like be more centered. I feel like I need like a more grounding myself, more it's like I put myself in this self position, self healing, and stand in my own position and be able to help without go in the drama with anybody. Something like that. I don't know how.
I think you said something quite significant just now. You mentioned the word grounding, and we touched that before. And how much better, what a great way of grounding when you're actually working with another person. Isn't that true? When you're working with somebody and you know that you're of service and you have that compassion, then you have to be so present with the client, with that person, that you grounding yourself. I feel there is someone calling us all into service. I mean, we've done these bloody revocations for God knows how long now, being the peacekeepers, being the peacemakers, you know, and all of that. And yes, we have been doing that, but there is a different way of doing it now. And I haven't really figured out yet how.
Yeah.
I think, okay, it's, for me, it's not someone anyway, but for me, it's this inherent force that is driving nature as a whole. And I mean, we are part of that. Yes, we have done and we have materialized many other things, but which nature doesn't in a sense. I mean, the wild boars did not come up, you know, with the spears to hunt other wild boars. Okay. But I think there is a driving force there, which we are still somehow connected to. And I think that is the one that is just pinging, coming up again and again, because, and that is also the one that is of service, calling us into service, because nature itself is also in service of itself. What we say is a parasite, it's not a parasite, you know, it's just, you know, the giving and the giving and the taking, that just, it's a symbiosis somehow that is flourishing. Or how in also in animal husbandry there are midwives, you know, some animals that do not procreate but help to, you know, maintain something, like in a midwifery or, you know, something like that. So I think there is something inherent in us somewhere still, no matter where it comes from. But if it is coming from the stars, or somebody left it in us somehow, you know, for the spark to come up to. And I really sense this as being the force which we cannot put the finger on. That's not, because it's so unimaginable and not visually graspable.
I think you've just said this absolutely beautifully, you know, and mention nature, because that is the link. Think about it. We are nature. We are part of nature. And what is happening to the earth, nature is completely out creating itself. And it's that force that is now starting to get clearer in the calling, you know. It's absolutely nature's force, Gaia's, you know, calling us in. And this, yes, well done. This is perfect, Sandrine. It's so true. And this is why also so many people, including myself, are being called now to certain places. Now, this is how we met. We met in Turkey because we were both called there. And this is the first year. I've been traveling a lot before, you for business, me for business and fun as well. But this year has been very much like, okay, I think in the beginning it was a cognitive thing for me, saying, or at least I cognitized it, I have to travel more, I have to get out, But now it's starting to, oh my God, these places are calling me. They're calling me in. And I'm actually just following the line. I'm just following the calling. Very good, yeah. And this is a lovely big perspective, you know, because that's nature, that's Gaia, that's the planet. And of course, as you said, It's not just planet Earth, it's all the other planets, it's the galaxy, it's the universe, it's the solar system that's calling us in, you know, because everything is waking up. Lana, how are you doing with that? Your pictures are so beautiful.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're
What
being
is
called. Are you being called? You're being called to take nature pictures, aren't you?
Yes, yes. I think that that's kind of what I've been feeling lately to do. So I got to get back into doing that. So,
Yeah. And you can tell, I can tell when I look at them, there is something in those. This calling is in those pictures. I can feel it. There's something in those pictures.
Thanks.
I'm not like a photographer or anything, you know, and I'm not looking at it from that perspective, but there's just something, there's an energy in it.
Well, nature, you're talking about nature just now. Nature is wanting to be recognized, huh? And the only way we can show forth the nature is by taking a picture of it and making it widely seen, right? So because they can show themselves if the person is there to see them, but to make them more widely available is by taking a picture of it and making it into something beautiful. So it becomes, you know,
Absolutely.
recognized by those that wouldn't necessarily be right there to see it.
Yeah.
There are people who take landscape photographs of mountains and things like that, which are, I mean, the mountains are calling you to take their picture. To say, here I am, show me to the rest of the world, you know. Or, for example, that tiny little picture photograph I took of that tiny little flower. I mean, that thing is so tiny, you could barely see it. I mean, if you don't have good eyesight, you wouldn't even know it's there. It's like a little tiny white dot that's barely recognizable. So it wanted to be recognized. It wanted to be known, like, here I am. Does anybody see me? Because I'm so microscopic, you know? And it's a beautiful flower, you know? So, yeah, nature wants to be known. It's calling us back to it.
And I think that what you mentioned, Rana, it made me think about it, because we are here in New York. We didn't get like at the summer time like last year. I don't remember. I used the fence here in my house just 2 days because I had some visitor. But the weather was so, I mean, no hot, no cold, but it was, and I didn't use any of my shoes for summer, or the clothing I used to use for summer, because there was no like such a heat like sometime on July, on August, and beginning of September. It was like, and I was talking about my cousin, this is interesting because I don't remember that we passed the summer this year, because the weather was so different. And as I was driving in between the mountains and seeing the colors of the forest, you know, all those leaves, so much beautiful colors and so unique. And I said, oh my goodness, we passed from a spring to the forest because I think especially in the summer, it was kind of unique how the nature is changing.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think we have a perception like that? As you're speaking, I'm just thinking, why do we have a perception of this real reality fleeting? For what purpose? What purpose could that have, that we are losing that kind of perception?
Well, my feeling and experience is that because we have getting to different levels of consciousness, and we are experiencing different way how the nature react interacting with us. That's my thought, because the way how we are expressing from inside out is we receiving from outside in. That's because when I was driving yesterday, I was realizing, oh my God, we didn't experience really any summer like before. That people were just complaining about the heat, you know. And I don't remember experiencing that this year. It was like kind of interesting that I realized that.
I think that is quite a significant awareness to have, because I think what we're doing, literally, we are becoming more inwardly oriented without even acknowledging it, without having to sit in meditation every day. And this is why we're losing a little bit the context, the connection with the outside. And that's not a bad thing, because remember, we are supposed to be creating a completely new world, new levels of perception.
Yeah.
Would you say that this could be part of the reason why we're having all these experiences? Because it's almost like so many times I just feel like I could say I feel ungrounded, but you know, is it really that, or are we starting to really live in all these different dimensions that everything just becomes a bit blurred? Maybe that's why time seems to speed up, because half of the time we are actually on different timelines.
Yes.
Not timelines necessarily, but dimensions.
Yes. And now that you mentioned that, I remember that I heard this Matthias Stefano, that he said that the North Pole is still a little toward Russia. Before it was toward to Canada, now it's toward Russia, because we are going in completely different part of in the galaxy. We are completely different location right now. We are traveling different locations, even though we don't realize it. But the planet is not where it was a few years ago, right? And kind is very unique, and that we can see that it have been changing. The animals that coming through, you know, bird to the house, a lot of things that I didn't realize before. And sometimes I pass by, oh, I didn't see that place before. And then I see something, I say, oh my God, I didn't know that store was there. It was seem like little thing like that make me like a real, oh, I have passed in here before, but I never saw that sign, or I never saw that trees, or I never saw that lamp, you know, like more awareness to the present moment. That's what my thought in that one. Like more awareness in the moment of the now.
Yeah.
That is the one that keep us always disempower us, because we always are in the present or in the future.
But you see, this is the thing, as you say exactly that, you're just confirming, because what does it mean to be in the now? It doesn't mean to be in this reality. It means to be in the now, whatever, you know, frequency, vibration you are harmonizing with at that moment in time.
Yeah.
I think it's such a misconception to think that being in the now means you have to be fully grounded and here right now, focused on nature outside. I don't think that is the case at all, because frankly, I don't think nature gives a flying if we look at it or not look at it. This is just because we like doing it. Sandrine, you want to say? Yeah.
No, I mean, in 5 years of meditation, I have still no idea what the now should be, you know? No, I'm serious. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, the now, you know? And then I love it when people have wonderful experiences in their meditation and they go everywhere. It's just like when these guided meditations, you know, like you go through a forest. I'm like, why should I go through the forest? What is it actually that you want me to do?
Go for a forest.
No, in the sense, like, what is the aim of that? I'm already, you know, centered. I'm here. You want me to see the light. Okay, then tell me that. Don't, you know, go with me on the tourist agent's tour, you know.
No,
this kind of like is, and what the point I'm going to get to is that I do believe that actually some of us and most of us have already cleaned up. We have mentioned that already before, sometimes in the sense that we're doing self-care and we're doing self-care in the sense that we are cleaning ourselves up internally, externally also, hopefully. In a sense where we are also taking care of this body, because this body is the natural body, is the only way we can feel these emotions and going through them and having those experiences, which again connects us then to the morphic resonance of the rest of the natural environment. And that is, I think, these forces that just, I believe, bring us into conscience, even another level of consciousness. Be it the most emergent one, or I have no idea, but just opening up ourselves to other things. And that is where I feel our perceptions have improved, because we have been working towards it in a sense. And we have been consciously or unconsciously trying to get there because something is calling us to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe, or not. Well, for me, it's like I'm on the path of adventure anyway. So I'm, that is where it takes me. And I'm very happy and I'm very pleased that it took me here where I am right now. You see?
And this, I think, this is again confirming that Earth is the school, right? Because we have this outside projected world that we can play with and start really learning from, to be in the now with, to be present with. Now, with regards to the visualization that you've mentioned, this is just one realm with a couple of dimensions in it. Now, we can be equally present when we do a visualization, and you do visualize going on this path and you see the lights and everything, then you are present there too. So I think, and this is where, we can now expand our appreciation for groundedness and even presence, because we can be grounded in a completely different realm on a completely different planet whilst we're still having a body here on Earth.
That was one of the remarks that I wanted to make, is that by how much I have grounded myself actually allowed me to actually go beyond.
Yes.
And that is where I feel when I'm speaking of this self-care and going inside, is like, okay, I know where my 2 feet are, literally or metaphorically, and now I can let go. And this has also noticed over the course of the last few months that I'm in this philosophical discussion group, and how amazed I am at seeing how people are still hooked up on this notion of having a God, a being somehow, at the beginning, and I'm like, could anybody explain me why that is necessary? Because I don't get it. I don't need it. There is no beginning and no end, in a sense. But I find it, and I do believe also then this groundedness from myself just has given me this possibility to just let go of that notion of a being, or in a sense that, that somebody, put the spark in. No, it just happened by pure coincidence.
Yeah. No, I'm coming to this realization that, our 5 senses here in this realm, in this reality, are like the wheels on the bicycle, the training wheels. Because now we're going to take those 5. This is wrong to say we're going to take exactly those sensory perceptions, but we can now start looking at, so what kind of other perceptions can we use to do exactly what we've done here? Not exactly the same thing, but how can we use what we've learned here to move, maneuver, be present, be grounded in other realities? Are we still going to use our feet? Well, in some we will. Are we going to use our hands? Well, some in some realities, we won't use hands because the hands are going to turn into wings. All right. And in other realities, we're going to probably start perceiving through our liver or through our gallbladder or anything like that. And I think this is what we can start now playing with. And I do think this is part of turning on our technology, our innate technology that our bodies are, organs are, perceptions are. I almost think that we need to probably sort of not let go, because we've learned enough now about how to look, to eat, to taste, and all of that. But we need to start looking at it, sort of an adapted way of doing that in the other realms. What other, sensory organs can we start activating whilst we're doing that, and live in a different realm, just as grounded as we're living here? Because frankly, this is the plan of the galactic citizenship, that we can do exactly what we're already doing in unknowingness, that we can do that in knowingness. We can have an avatar on a different planet, and we can have one here on Earth that is consciously communicating.
I mean, yes, because it is so fascinating how the most grounded tribes are completely at ease with the perception that we are from someplace else.
Good point.
Right? I mean, we here with all the science and all the knowledge, we can still not really grasp that. And I am the one that is also now very blunt about it. I still don't have that connection, although I know we are from outside, because we must be, because I think this planet was never meant to have us idiots running wild on it. But okay, we're here now, well, let's do the best out of it. But no, I mean, look at the Dogons or whoever. Yeah, we are from the Pleiades up there, and how do they even, they see these stars there, and they don't always see them because they are not always visible, and how suddenly, no, that's where we are from. That's it.
Absolutely. They're fully connected, they're living their spirituality, and we are learning about the spirituality that we are truly embodying anyway, and this is this big awakening, I suppose, this levels of awareness, that allow ourselves to have all that information integrated and merge with us, with that understanding, and then the perception will just go through the roof, basically. And we're just gonna
on perceptions, and also on news. I just came across the other day of somebody talking about what some of the remote viewers have recently come up with, that they feel there is something happening somewhere within mountains. What it will be, they could not pinpoint, but it's coming from different remote viewing groups, and it's all pointing into there is something going to come up. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the conspiracy theories, but it's like, if these people who already have their senses much wider open, and it's coming from different sources, that there is something up. Let's see what it will be.
I think what they're probably acknowledging is what we've known for a long time anyway, that because it's been happening for years and years and years, and we all know that they're flying into the mountains and into the oceans and up and down. But I think what's coming more into the perception of people is that it can no longer be held back.
Yeah, they cannot.
And that's starting to sort of show in the collective. And they're picking that up. It's a bit like, when somebody reads you, they basically just read the aura of you, what's going on in your field, and they're reading the auric field of the narrative of the collective consciousness, and it has to happen, because too many people are actually having done good work. And yes, of course there are people that haven't, but I think we can safely say we've crossed the marker, you know, whatever that's going to look like. And it's not going to be, you know, for everyone, because it's still an individual journey, but still, you know, I think we can all say it's time. It's time to really celebrate, because through that we can keep our vibration high and our, you know, awareness open, keep ourselves out of the limitations. And as Lana, you know, and we all just connect to nature, obviously connect to who you are. Really, I mean, you look at this flower, Lana, you are the flower, you are the little bug that you photographed, you are that amazing tree, you are the sky, we are all of that. You know, I've just listened a little bit to the Non-dualist, because there was a time I did many years ago, and I find them quite fascinating. A bit boring, you know, if you really think non-duality and all of this, you're not born and you don't die and there is nobody, and you know, it's like, okay, and what am I going to do with this? You know, it's so fucking boring listening to a non-dualist. But on the other hand, you know, it's a good, sometimes they have, you know, a couple of good sentences that come through. It's like, you know, there's so much discussion at the moment. What is consciousness? How many levels of consciousness are there, you know? And, you know, yeah, I liken consciousness to awareness, but I'm also liking consciousness to love now, you know, and I have, you know, started doing that because it's there anyhow, if you do something or not. It's the fabric of existence. And all it does, it allows us to play. It allows us to imagine. It allows us to create experiences. So if the non-dualist comes in and says, well, you've never been born and you're never going to die, and it's just like, well, what's the point? I'm supposed to be here, you know?
Yeah.
But life is a sausage. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I get it from a being perspective, you know, to get us more into the being and into the connection that we're all one and everything. But at the end of the day, we also have to say every soul is different. Every soul is unique. And there's a reason for it, because we all have different experiences over different lifetimes. You know, and that makes this whole thing, so it's really boring to say we're all one and that's it. You know, we're all the same. Well, we're not. We're all one, yes, but we're not the same, because we've all had different experiences. Otherwise, we would be doing the same fucking thing. Every single one of us would be looking like each other, and we're not at all. You know, our voices would sound the same, and they don't. Our handwriting is different. Everything's different. We may talk about the same concepts, but we are expressing them in a completely different way.
Which is why I like so much Tim Freak's you know, philosophy that he's building up, and he's coming out soon with a new take on many things before, because he's adapting it all the time in, you know, moving forward. So it's very interesting. And then he talks about the unividual.
Yeah.
You know, there is the one, like that's the big ocean, but the ocean is made out of what? Trillions and billions of drops, you know? So you take one drop out and it's different from the other drop. It's not all the same, but it becomes one, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's very, very interesting. And also the message there is the one of love, in a sense that, you know, you to actually find your unividual in the other, the individual, but then the unividual in the other, is by, you know, looking at the person and, you know, trying to see not yourself in there, but that, you know, that what makes you one, in a sense. I think that this is still, you know, where I feel that many people have a problem with it.
We need to even go. I like that, and we need to even go beyond love now, because, you know, love.
That is what I fear as well.
As far as I'm concerned, the love conversation has always bored me for some reason, because it's so misidentified.
Yeah,
and frankly, without love, we wouldn't be here. It's the fabric. It allows us to breathe, it allows us to talk, it allows us to see everything, and of course to love, compassion, innate compassion, and all of that, empathy, and all of that. But that's about it. What's there to talk about?
It's just that the love will not take you away the bad things that are happening, because the bad things are just, the perspective of, what you think should be bad. But in a sense, it is happening, and it's always going to happen no matter what,
Yeah.
Just look at a lion killing a gazelle,
Yeah.
They have a lot of love for each other, but we need
Well,
to
it's also
survive.
love includes everything anyway.
Well, yeah,
There is
but-
nothing bad. Even the murderer down the line is not. It's still love, and that's why.
Well, this is where my discussion with these people is also at. It's like,
Yeah.
love is, what is it? In the end, it's just, a 4-letter word, or not. You see, what is it? I know
No,
that's stupid.
It's a
but,
great context, but I'm throwing it in. I've got my little things, energies that I throw into one bag now, into the mixer, and I've got consciousness. I've got what do I say? Awareness and love. It's all one for me now. This is, without that, we are that, we're all that, and at the same time, it allows us to create ourselves through love, consciousness, at the different levels of awareness, at the different levels of love, at the different levels of consciousness. But at the end of the day, and there was one non-dualist, and I can't remember his name now, but he gave a really cool example. What's his face? I don't know. He said, look at one of those diagrams, like a round diagram. And then you make it into three different sections in the diagram. And then you color one red, you color the other one blue, and then you got the white one that is left, right? And then he says, so how many colors are in that diagram? Most people say 3, right? He says, well, no, there's only red and blue, because the white is the existing consciousness, and everything outside of the circle is consciousness. And the red and blue is also consciousness. It's just something that you have identified as red and blue, but at the end of the day, it's all consciousness. And that's, there's Martina, and there's Sandrine, and there's Hermine and Lana, but we're all consciousness. At the same time, we're all nature. So that's what I hear you, Sandrine, is what's the point of going back to where we really come from? It doesn't do anything to us here.
It will not help you.
Really. We are all of that, but the question is, what are we going to do with it? And how do we not weaponize it? Right?
Yeah.
Because everything is about weaponizing. Well, now we've got this information, so how can we weaponize it?
The will to power.
Exactly.
I was rushing myself to the alignment process. And when I get in the unused material, then and one day he told me that I thought that I'm ready to finish this. I'm just tired. It was so much. I just want to finish with this and get out of here. I said, well, you still have a lot to go. And then he was like kind of disappointed to me, because oh my God, this is a never end. It's something that just like go back and forth. He said, even if I go higher, I have to continue higher and higher and higher, never ending process. I got like a very disappointing at that moment, and realized, oh my God, there's no water for anything really. Because everything passed, and I don't have control to anything. I can't just control myself.
I think the biggest illusion is the control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well just surrender. Surrender is the word of the day. Surrender and follow the energy, and don't try to figure it out.
And I reject that word right away, because I instantly get in my conflicts to reject about everything about religion, and it's not rejecting religion is you accepting that they are there, and that is not my handicap right now, religion, right? My process. Well, I have been going through the process to understanding and allow other people to experience their religions, belief system, because that's why their process that they want to experience. For me, every time I hear somebody talking about we call God this, God there, automatically my brain just shut down, because it's completely I'm against to that word. And however, I know I had to realize that other people, for them, it's important for them to have that sustainable belief that the God is doing for them, right?
Yeah.
And and it came to me that you're accepting and realize it, that everybody's in their own path and their own learning process of what they choose to experience. And I feel that is the big conflict that we have, because I have one of my uncle, that my father is Seventh-day Adventist, and my uncle is completely, from the 80s, going to the beach to chasing the outer space ship and all that stuff. And when they get together, it's like a completely battlefield, My uncle tried to convince my father, and my father, 70 years already practicing, that beliefs with the Bible since 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, could you imagine? Any case, and that's for me to experience, to see both sides, and I said, everybody needs their own, handicap.
Their own poison.
No, poison, yeah. This is a good one, Herminia. When you have situations like that, a good question is, how can I be of service here?
Yeah.
The best way of being of service is not take side.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Because this is the thing, I had to learn, coming from the empowerment perspective, because empowerment has been, for me, that's my thing, always used to be, because that worked for me, because I wanted to be empowered, until I realized that, oh, there are people who don't want to be empowered. Oh, there are people that want solutions. Oh, it was like, oh, I had no idea that is possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hear. And I see this because I'm a bit like a magnet. I can hone in right away where there's, and people are scared of that.
Yeah.
MC was saying to me the other day, he said, well, why don't you see my mom? He said, no, because she's going to tell me exactly that. No, I don't want to hear this. Really? You rather go pay somebody to tell you something you don't. I'm like, wow, I'm amazed. But there's another level. It's the next level of empowerment. We are no longer here to empower, unless there are people who want to be empowered. Permission granted, yeah? But the next level for those empowerers, like we are, some of us are, okay, how can I be of service? It's different. It's different. It's a much softer energy. It's more feminine, I suppose, as we come into the feminine. Now, there's another thing that's happening. Have you guys seen this? With the balancing of the gender differences, and I'm not talking emancipation and all of that. I'm talking about the balancing of the male and female attributes within ourselves. It's almost like men totally losing their macho behavior.
Their energy.
I don't want to say it, but we've got no men here. No, turning into little like, hey, you used to be such a macho. I actually quite like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I noticed, you know what I noticed, that I love Martina now when I go to the supermarkets. Usually it was very strange to see a man doing the grocery shopping, and now it's so normal. They are with the kids doing the grocery, and then, guiding the kids, and if they are not by themselves, they are with the wife. That was very hard to see before. It's like a new integration or collaboration. That's what I see from my point of view. There is a more
Frankly, I think it's a beautiful thing at the end of the day, but there will be that, it will take a couple of years, generations probably, for that gender rift to really heal. It's now for all the women out there who wanted to
Yeah.
be, you know, seen and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It's the time, girls, because the men are turning it over now. They want to
Yeah.
be the ones looked after. They don't want to look
Yeah.
after anymore. So
Yeah.
whatever you women wanted, now it's now you got it.
Yes. Yeah, it's like the women, a women go get it. The
Huh?
men is just relax in the back. Something like that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
noticed this is exactly what I was thinking the last time I took the flight when I came back from Europe to here. I was in the airport and also on the plane. Have you noticed how many of the men are actually taking care of the children?
Yeah.
And they are doing it honestly, they are doing it better.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, I notice it also around here where I have colleagues who are then the working mothers and the guys are taking care of the kids. Those kids are fine. They're good. And these guys are doing an excellent job. I saw the guy there running, you know, she was doing her Facebook probably. I have no idea, but she was on the phone all the time and he was running around with the kids. And I don't know how he is at home, but you know, outside it was him who was taking care of the whole Shazam. And I was like, respect to you, guy, you know, very good. And then I'm on the other hand also telling my lady friends, you know, and all their children around them, and I'm like, you have to let those children go, because you're not being of great service having them constantly around you and not letting them go.
Explore,
you know, because that is the other thing that I see in them, that they are like gripping these children to their, you have to be with me, you have to be, you cannot, you know, like let them go, you know, because you're not doing them any service of just grasping on them all the time, because then they cannot even go and have a sleepover without them going into anxiety if it's because they don't sleep at home and mommy did not tuck me in. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
you see,
I'm
this,
sorry.
No, but it is, you know, we talked about empowerment and we talked about being of service and everything, but this is a big time of empowerment where these women and men need to stop using their children as a distraction.
It's like an overprotection
empower
from
them.
the women's side, overprotection and becoming a control. Even when the men get married, the mother-in-law is still trying to control the relationship because it's her kid, it's my child. You know, you can see that in a lot of cases, because the women have that possessive reaction and attachment, and but the men, I guess, is more linear, more stable emotionally about that, because we mouth, it's my child, it's my child. That's what I see, that we have that more content to be possessive of our kids. Yeah, and I guess the father is just a guiding and assisting and guiding and supporting, but not with the position of possessive impulse.
And I also want to say, I really think that women have, and it's not the women thing, I don't know where it came from at the end of the day, but men have had a lot of bad rap, and which turned them into, I have to be the provider, I have to be the macho, I have to be the man. And with that equilibrization, is that a word? Now that's happening, equality coming through something. That's what we're seeing. Everything is now just upside down. Now we're seeing the vulnerability of the male coming through, and we're seeing the strength of the woman, you know, I think. I just need to say something here, of course. This is not women, men, gender division on the other hand. Now, what I'm saying is actually it's the female within the male body that is becoming stronger, and the letting go in the female body of the male.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense what you say, Martina. Second for clarify, because I remember in my culture that used to say, men doesn't cry. That doesn't matter what happens to them. They're supposed to keep it in silent and don't talk about it. And it was something that was completely impregnated in the program system of the community. That doesn't matter what happened. They were not supposed to cry. If the boy fall and crash, damage something in his body or a cut or whatever, don't cry. Men don't cry. I can still hear that in my head when I was growing up. And that's why they say that men usually suffer more like a stroke or heart attack easily because they retain the emotion, because supposedly they have to be the strong and they cannot show the feeling. So, because that was the program. They was not supposed to show the feeling.
Exactly. So with all those programs now starting to crumble, this is, I think, also why we have so much gender confusion at the moment. So many people come in. Yeah, I want to be a female. I want to be a male. All of that. That's all part of it. But there's one thing. I listened to Linda McGillis the other day. Her latest thing with Alexander Quinn. It's very good. And she said something interesting that I had never heard before. She said, when you have a female body, your etheric body is male.
Oh.
And when you have a male body, have you heard that, Sandrine, before?
No.
I've never heard that. When you have a male body, your female body, your etheric body is female. So within this reality now, I think we can safely say that it's the female that has probably done more self-development work, spiritual work, just to make a blunt sort of conclusion here. Now, what that means is that the female incarnation has actually worked on the male etheric bodies, which means we have done a lot. As a woman, you've done a lot of work on the male collective, as your etheric body is male. So I thought this was really interesting. And you got to discern that for yourself. But for me, that meant, I never heard that before, and that's really helping to open up this whole gender rift and the dissolving of those very strong patriarchic programs. Because that's been definitely, and that's got nothing to do with the women being bitches, and having a go at the male, but that's this whole war, military, that's all part of the agenda of the narrative.
Yeah, I experienced that a lot when I was doing the revocation from Andrews about the masculine and the feminine revocation. I experienced how much compassion. It helped me to feel compassion for men too, because it's like it's having a program, a society program, right? And then I see it from a neutral position on myself, seeing they having program to behave the way they behave. It's not something that they doing because they want to do, it's because it's the program that they haven't going through. And the women submitted to the men and all that stuff. And when I was reading those in revocation, it was like, like an eye-opening to me. I said, my goodness, how much suffering we have been going through, both sides. Because the programs.
That's actually a good idea to revisit the male and female revocation. Andrew Bartz's revocations on male and female might be a good one to revisit in the new light of events and stuff like that. I mean, I certainly have compassion for the male, purely because also I had to work on my own masculinization, over masculinization, because I had a very strong male side in me that was overpowering the female side. And I had to let that go. It was all programming, survival programming, because it's all survival, abuse and survival. Because female, innately wants to just surrender, but how can it? under abuse circumstances, you know. So it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So good on them. Be vulnerable, men, you know. Let yourself go. And because it invites us women, and again, look at it within yourself, to really step forward and be the womb, you know, be the compassionate container, literally, you know. And I'm still working on that. But, you know, just be the understanding person, you know, be that. I have to take my empowerment, you know, programs and really very often put them to the side or reprimand them a little bit. Okay, step away, compassion, step forward, please.
Yeah.
Hey Marissa, hey Lana, yeah. Go.
Oh no, it was that now that you mentioned, I think the tricky part is to keep the balance.
Yeah.
Right? To keep the balance between those two energies. And it's so challenged because we flipping to one side too much and to the other side, nothing at all. And it's kind how we can be aware to looking for the balance all the time, you know, because there's some distraction that we even don't notice. In my case too, I had to, you know, survival move all the time because I was, you know, since childhood, I had a lot of challenges in my life. And I overcome that masculine strong. I can do it myself. I don't need help anybody because it was a survival tool. And sometimes I feel like if I show that I can do something, I feel like a weakness, you know, because that was my programmation from when I was growing up.
But that's the thing as well. Being of service includes also asking for help. Yeah. Because you find that with men, probably, if you have been a very strong, potent woman, and you can still be that, but you can just be aware of what's going on, what is required, and you actually ask your man, be this now your son, your husband, your partner, your father, for help. It's like they want to help. They want to help.
Yeah.
To give them an opportunity, be of service by asking for help.
Yeah, yeah. That's what happened to me. Yeah.
Because the women, you know, and again, we're not generalizing here. I'm just, you know, throwing stuff in. So always discern for yourself, and we fluctuate, you know. But we are not. I don't know. Speak for myself. It's not so much. There's no neediness to help anymore. That's gone. I don't need to help anymore because I've helped myself enough now. So that's gone. That's why I have to reframe it now and look at being of service, which is a completely different thing. There's no neediness behind that. You know, but when I say ask for help, then that's almost being of service because you know what is required in that particular moment in order to show your compassion, in order to facilitate the person that you're working with, that you're dealing with. And it doesn't have to be a man, you know. It's almost like manipulation, but the good kind of manipulation, the good kind of awareness. What is required right now? What would make that person feel good? Do they really want to hear my solutions?
Yeah.
They just want me to listen.
That's another thing that we sometimes I play the role to helping somebody trying to take their responsibility or, you know, offer some help that they really don't looking for, even that they need it. Sometimes they are not open to receive it.
Yeah, they don't want it.
And just wasting time and energy.
Well, yes, and you're creating karma with that because you're stepping on their journey, stepping on you're overstepping your sovereign, you know, and that's always something we have to keep in mind, you know, keeping that balanced.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is,
I
for
think
instance,
that's mhm. Sorry, go ahead.
no, this is, for instance, one of the instinct or one of the habits or instincts or automatisms I don't have yet. Because in my, you know, on a daily basis, I'm being consulted to solve problems because that's my job in a sense. But then in a personal setting, outside of that, if somebody comes and tells me things, you know, I don't have this automatism to ask them, you know, do you want a reply? Do you want help? Or am I just here, the container of holding space, listening, acknowledging your pain or your happiness, and that's it? So in me, you know, as soon as somebody starts talking or starts giving me some information on something that is happening in their life, I'm like, okay, helping mode. Okay, what can we do? You know, and not like, maybe that's not at all what this person wants. You know, maybe it's just like, you know, just shut up, just listen to me, and just say, okay, and that's it. And that is something that I still have to work on sometimes. In a, you know, people who know me, they don't come and ask me to, you know, because they know that I will just turn them around and say, just, you know, do something against it, because I can be very, very hard and
So,
very
Sandrine,
nice, but
what I'm listening to you say, right? And I'm thinking, when I'm in a situation like that, what I normally would do, I'll be just neutrally listening. They didn't come to me for some help. If they had come to me for some help, then they would have asked me for help. So what I normally would do is just neutrally listen to what they're saying and say, okay, all right, you know, and let them finish whatever they're saying. And when they're done, they feel better. So
Yeah.
I'm not there to offer them a solution to anything because they didn't ask me for a solution. They didn't ask me. There are some people who just like to talk about their problems. And they go from person to person to person and they tell their same problem to each and every person, right? They're not looking for a solution to their problems. They're just in that program, that habit of just wanting to make themselves heard by somebody else and thinking that their problem is something that is fanciful, that they, you know, they have to share it with everybody.
The repulsive vomiters. I call them the repulsive vomiters.
Exactly.
Vomiting all over. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you have to allow that, but you can walk away from that. But I think, yeah.
totally
Sometimes you
get.
can walk away. Sometimes you're there, right? Because you're there with the person just to say hello. How is it going? I haven't seen you in a long time. But then they'll just keep talking and talking and talking. And all you do is just be, you know, just listen and say, as I said, okay. And then when your opportunity comes in, you could just change the subject altogether to something else if you don't want to listen to that anymore.
I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's my social network is rather small in the sense I have a big professional social network, but I have a very small personal social network. So those people that are interacting with me and then start, this is sometimes where I also, that maybe I wasn't clear on that. That is sometimes where I probably still need to have this automatism of asking, are you asking me for help or shall I just listen? Because my first go-to is always, okay, you are telling me this because you need something from me, because I'm the one that usually helps or comes up with a solution that also within my personal social network.
But that sounds like that's your perception, right? That's your perception that they're coming to you because you're the one who offers a solution. And
which
that's a
is why
perception of yourself.
which is
So
why
maybe,
I sometimes need this automatism of just asking, you know, to get clear in my mind, am I now holding the space, which I can do, or do you come to me for a solution? You know, that is what I was getting at.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's any of those. It just probably means, oh, today's the day I just listen and I don't offer anything. There's no need for an offer. We don't always have to offer. We're not always there to give, offering. Sometimes we're just there just to be a part of the universe and let the other person just be.
That's actually quite a nice way of looking at it, because, you know, we are so, you know, programmed to look at what other people need. It's your choice. It's your choice. Look at it from that perspective. And if they don't want to hear it, well, then don't come and talk to me.
That's right.
You know, I quite like that. You know, no, seriously, we have to do that too. You know, I mean,
But
there's another level, of course, when you look at your signature. As you stop needing to be needed, your signature changes anyway. And a lot of those people are gonna disappear. But
that's right. They disappear indeed, and you'll find that there's nobody coming to you for anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? I've been there.
Then you feel like you're living a lonely world, you know, in a lonely world.
because you see, in my office here, it's like, if you have something that you want to talk to me about, you have one question and 5 minutes. Okay. So make good use of that time. And in my personal network, I don't do that. I mean, I cannot tell my people, you know, you have one question and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all you're gonna get.
But Sandrine, that explains why when Paul comes home, he 2-3 weeks max, then he has to leave again. He can't do the solution that when he's here that he can do at his job, you know.
I know. I get him.
That's what it is, because, you know, but it's lovely. But it's a very cool sort of exploration. But, you know, as you both guys said, I think the key is the question. And this is how I weaned myself off. You know, if there was no question, in the beginning, I forced myself to say nothing. Or, as you say, is there a question? Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Because there was no question. It was just
there's no question. There's
blah,
nothing
blah,
we
blah,
can do.
Yeah, but then you have taxi driver moment, which, like, are you talking to me? Yeah, I mean,
that too. Yeah.
Sometimes you'll be listening, and then suddenly you find yourself, you're all spaced out. It's like, ground yourself back. What are they talking about?
I mean, that's the real compassion. That's the real service that you can be. As soon as you ask them for a question, because so often, as soon as somebody asks a question, they already have their own answer.
oh yeah.
Right? And all the blah blah is just old story, you know.
Yeah. And that's why they say, if we learn to be quiet and just listen, and they guess their own answer, because they just looking for validation or whatever they are doing. And that was my big burning, because what's the word that's dream. I was jumping around looking to honey help for me to help him without even just offering my energy, my resources to whoever was in trouble. And I always surrounded with people with trouble, because that's what I was looking for, right? Until I put in myself in my jeopardized position myself in my life, because I was just giving my energy, my time, everything, because I had a crazy program that we had to save everybody, and I was trying to save the world, and I couldn't save it myself. It was a crazy program, you know, because I had so much influence from my grandmother. She was Catholic, and she had the same pattern, that she was living her life just serving to everybody. And I had that on me. I was just jumping around to see who would need help, until get to the point that I couldn't even hardly survive myself. You know, it was a very tough experience in my life. However, it took me a long time just to let it go, that program. helping myself to retrain myself to wait a minute, you know, I know I had not to play the position of God here or the saviors. That was a crazy program that really almost killed myself in that position.
But, you know, it's also one of the most difficult ones to let go, because sometimes our entire identity is based on it. Our jobs are based on it, you know. If you're a solution person, what you have to do in order to be good as a solution person, you have to continuously create shit in your life, or people who have shit in their lives, you know, and things like that. And that's going to be, if you want to change that, it's like, whoa, okay, how can I, you know, it's often.
And Martina, I can tell you from my own experience, that's so challenging, because sometimes when I didn't jump to help somebody that needed help, that I'm retraining myself to be away, I feel the guiltiness in my head.
Yeah.
Oh, you are being shamed. You're being guilt shamed. I had the same thing when I had to let go of people. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't need those people anymore. Seriously, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that kind of transition sometimes takes a little bit of time, because it's like, I mean, I've seen it myself. Yeah. And that can be frustrating, because you're a doer. That's that bridge we have to take from doing into being. And that is sometimes a very long bridge, or a rickety old bridge, you know, that seems like so fragile that we can't even go onto it. We don't even dare go onto it. But once we put a step on it, and just one step at a time, get up in the morning, have a coffee. Okay, that's enough for today. I've achieved. That was my solution for today, to make myself a coffee.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a complete retraining, repracticing. It's really interesting. And at the same time, you know, acknowledge who you are. You are a solution chick, you know, and you'll always find your niche with that. And as solution chicks or men, you know, if we have a lot coming, that needs solution.
Yeah.
That needs solution. And more people will knock on our doors and say, hey, I need help. I do have a question. Okay, right. Let's sit down. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. It's like, let them come to you.
Yeah.
It requires trust. It requires out creation, non-stop out creation, letting go of your identity, getting back into I'm consciousness, I'm love, I'm awareness. I'm nothing else. I'm not a dippling doctor, blah, blah, this. Nope. That's what I was yesterday. Not being hung up on education, on, you know, money, on, you know, validation and all of that. That's the journey. And that means from one, no, that doesn't mean that we can't make money anymore. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. Or you can't have a good position, you know, or you can have everything. You can have all of that. It's just a change of perception and making choices that actually work for you, not just for others. Having your own back. What's it gonna be like to have your own back? What choices can I make to have my own back in the next couple of years? Or forget the years, just now. Just now. which will impact on the next couple of years and the next couple of lifetimes. Because like who said it before, Herminia, we're not going to get out of this. Yeah. We're not going to get out of this work.
This is like a never end.
It's a never-ending story. And if you don't do it here, you're going to do it again. Either in the astral world, you're going to struggle there, or you're going to struggle coming back in and blah, blah, blah. So you might as well just do it now. Because now is actually quite good fun, because we're all in a shit show. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this was what COVID was such an amazing example, because we all were given permission. Yeah, there's so much of the wrongdoing and blah, blah, but we all were given permission to be at home and actually start choosing something different, work on ourselves, timing wise, so much of the hybrid working that is out there now, so many people never went back, only partly. So lots of things have changed.
I mean, even in my agency where, working from home or home office was like, you working from home, that means you're just sitting in your pajamas, you're not doing anything at all. And it suddenly changed completely about, now everybody is allowed to do home office, because they saw that actually the productivity didn't, no, people were just more content. It went actually up, yeah, honestly. But also, they also came up with a lot of BS, okay, with keeping people busy. Let's put it like that. But no, it's now, it's fine. During the next Christmas break, where I will be in Europe, I actually asked for 3 days of home office, because I have to keep some things going, and the end of the year, in our business where you need to spend money. I have to things going afloat. I mean, a few years ago, nobody would have ever approved of that, like, yeah, you're going skiing, that's all you're going to do, like, no, actually do some work as well, But yeah, no, I don't know, sometimes I feel that maybe, not like COVID, but, maybe we should introduce a month of just, staying home for, It used to be called hibernation, but I mean,
hibernation, yeah. Well, yeah, no, I think there's lots of positive things that came from it if you start looking into it, and that's definitely something that I can still see people benefiting from it. And of course, you can see equally so the negative that's come off it too.
some of it, yeah.
Amazing.
I might need to leave you.
You might need to leave. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And I think next week I might not be joining, but I will let you know.
Yeah, well, I'm actually not going to be here next week because I'm only can pack on that Wednesday. I'm not going to make it in time, but it will be either Tanya or Jennifer will run it. So just look out for it, because they will be using a different login, but it will be they will be whoever does it. I don't know if Tanya is actually back. I haven't spoken to her yet, but if not, Jen will do it anyway. So so we have a continuation.
I will let them know.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll be leaving a few minutes. I gotta go pick up some kids.
Yeah. No, we can finish it off, but yeah, Marissa, have you got anything? We've just been talking random stuff today. A little bit, nothing particular. Is there anything you ladies want to still throw up? Anything that has come to mind?
There was something that was mentioned before, but now it's over my head. I can't remember what it was that I wanted to make a comment on. If I remember, I'll bring it up.
Okay, well then let me say one thing. We've got the option now on the Earth Nouveau network website that you guys can put up your contributor profile. So by all means, take advantage of that. You can put up your picture, little bio, your email address or something. So when people watch those shows and go on the website, they can directly contact you if they want to work with you or have a chat with you or something like that. That's the idea. And then we'll take it from there. I'm gonna hop. I'm gonna go this week to check out the place and see if we can, you know, planting some seeds and see if we can create something, you know, for our get-togethers and for our healing and education ideas and things like that. So let's put that energy out there for us, for the Earth Navores and whoever else wants to come and join us, so that we can.
I saw the message in the Facebook, and and I was planning to do a look at it more detail yesterday, but the time was just. I'll see tonight if I can look at it again. And
Use the opportunity, because it would be nice to have everyone on. And whatever you guys have, everyone's got an email. If you only have an email, that's fine too. So the people can start contacting you guys directly.
I just wanted to add. Are you finished?
Yes.
I was just thinking, it just crossed my mind to mention it, that next Saturday, the 14th of October, will be the solar eclipse. For some people, not everybody around the world will be able to see it, but I know in the our side here, the Americas, will be able to see it here. And it will be around, it starts around 9 something Eastern time, no, Pacific time. So we got to calculate backwards a little bit, but it will be like in the early part of the day to the middle of the day. So that'll be interesting. I hope the weather is good. I hope the sky is clear and it's not rainy and cloudy, so you know, I don't miss it. But I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to you taking pictures of it.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen.
No, check it out. Check it out.
Usually
Lana, do you say like it's going to be more notable in your area? That's what you mean?
It's going to be the United States. We can see the United States.
Oh, I gotta look for the information to see what time will be in my side.
Lana,
Yeah,
you said the 14th.
Yeah, hang on a minute. I took a screenshot the other day of it. Let me see if I find it.
Because it's going to be like quite a big one. Well, and also, you know, it'd be nice to note down what's happening, you know, what sort of experiences you have and everything. And then maybe what we can do is we can do a show on it, a gathering on it, and just chat about the experiences if something came up.
Yeah.
Saw any aliens and had first contact and stuff.
It may show up, who knows? So it begins at 9:07 a.m. Pacific time.
9:07 Pacific time?
Yes.
That means would be 6 o'clock my side. Because I missed the time.
Did I say 9 or 8? 8:07.
You said 9. 9
It begins at 8:07 Pacific time. So maximum would be at 9:24 a.m. Pacific time, and it ends at 10:50 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Well, here you go.
And that's
thank you.
Saturday, October 14th.
Thank you, Lana.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Lana, for pointing that out. You know,
yeah, it's something that doesn't happen very often. You know, I mean, we get lunar eclipse more often than we get solar eclipse. So, in the last solar eclipse that we had, we weren't able to see it here in the United States. So this will be interesting.
Great, thank you.
On a Saturday, so hopefully there's no thunderstorms, no nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know? And the weather is good. It's, you know, sometimes it can get pretty cold. It's beginning to get cold here in the next few days. So
It's
Oh,
getting,
we had 80 degrees yesterday down here.
it's getting cold quickly. All right, my darlings. Well, I'm gonna let
Okay.
you go.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
thanks for the chat. The recording's gonna go out. Thanks for coming
Thank
on, and I see you soon.
thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
Have a
Bye.
good one. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.